Here we go. The weekend preview and injury report for Southwick, Massachusetts is here. The 5th round of AMA Pro Motocross will take place this Saturday at the series' only true sand track, which means we are in for some great racing as mud and sand are said to be the great equalizers in this sport, and this weekend we could have both. In the 450 class, we've seen the same 5 riders near the front all season so far. Even though Jet Lawrence has won all 4 overalls, Eli Tomac has won 2 motos, and Aaron Plessinger, Justin Cooper, and Hunter Lawrence have all led laps. The results do not show how close the action actually has been. So the big question this weekend will be, will we see more of the same? Or will we see some of those typical Southwick rides where sand specialists insert themselves into the mix? Remember the likes of Brett Metcalf and Matt Gerke who got their one and only 450 win at this race? So, if anything can happen in racing, it will happen at Southwick. As for the 250 class, the only person to beat Hayden Deegan so far this summer has been Chance Hymas, and now he is out with a knee injury sustained at High Point. Many may remember Hayden did not have the greatest first showing at Southwick, placing 6th in 2023, but last year he went to work on his sand riding skills and he won the thing. He mentioned after High Point he would be spending this week off riding in the sand. So the question is, who else has been brushing up on their sand skills? Can Joe Shimoda, Levi Kitchen, Seth Hamaker, or Tom Vial put up a fight? For more on the Southwick track, here is Jason Thomas.
Round 5 of the Pro Motocross Championship takes place at the Wick 338, or known as Southwick to most. And it's about as close to a true sand track as we're going to get on the Pro Motocross calendar. Now, the track crew, which consists of guys like Keith Johnson, John Dowd, Doug Henry, they've done a great job of trying to bring the sand back into Southwick because it's gotten harder over the years. It's gotten more down to the base, which is a much harder surface than you would typically think about Southwick. Now, they tried the same thing last year. They brought in a lot of sand, but there were huge rains during the week leading up to the event, which washed all that sand away, and we kind of got back down to that base. Well, they've tried again, dump loads of sand, trying to make it a little bit softer, make it back to the era where you think about Southwick and just endless sand, and it's going to change the racing a little bit. So for the riders, they're always contemplating how to attack Southwick because you can't be too aggressive kind of coming into the berms because it does have that harder base. You kind of have to wait till you get to the berm to be aggressive. You can't really use the insides in too many sections because they are simply too hard packed to really get any traction. So let's watch and see if some of those inside lines create a little bit of a rut there, or if there's an inside berm that can be formed because of this added dirt. This track does favor good starts. It hasn't been as easy to pass in recent years because most of the lines push to the outside where a lot of that sand has developed. So hopefully more lines equals more passing and more opportunity for the riders. Now, this is a track where everybody across the board is going to use that scoop tire, so probably won't talk about that too much this week on the broadcast. Everybody will be on a consistent tire. But one other factor we have to consider, the 450B practice. Riders like Cornelius Tondell, riders like Tony LaRusso at 54 years old, they're going to have a distinct advantage going out first in that 450B practice. As the 450s go first, some of those guys are going to be near the top of the leaderboard. So watch for names that you're really not familiar with qualifying really well overall because they get that first smooth track with no lines in it. It's a huge advantage here at Southwick that we've seen over the years, oftentimes in the 250. That's going to be in the 450 class this weekend. So it won't shock me at all if we lead off the top of the show on NBC talking about a European MXGP rider with the fastest qualifying time, and everybody's going to be wondering why. How did this happen? It's because of the unique qualifying situation at Southwick where the smooth track in that first practice really gives an edge to everybody that's in it.
Thanks, JT. Now for the injury report brought to you by Leatt. In the 450 class, we are happy to report that after sitting out the first 4 rounds due to a knee injury, Justin Barshaw will return this weekend. And Malcolm Stewart, who took a handlebar to the chin at High Point, will be in for this weekend, even though he's still pretty sore from that crash. However, Dylan Ferrandis is still out with a leg injury, and Chase Sexton, who crashed at the opener, will sit out this weekend as well. Rumor has it Sexton might return for Redbud. In the 250 class, Drew Adams is out with a broken finger sustained at High Point. Max Anstey is out with a broken leg. Daxton Bennick is out with a back injury, and his teammate Pierce Brown is also out with a back injury. Trevor Collop had a big crash at Hangtown where he broke his femur, and then he had further complications arise, including a stroke. Trevor is in a rehabilitation center in Indiana and could use all the support we can give him, so please go to roadtorecovery.com to support Trevor. Cole Davies, he's still out with a broken arm, and Evan Ferry is out with an Achilles injury. Cameron McAdoo is out with an ACL injury, and Caden Minear just announced that he injured his thumb at High Point, requiring surgery, so he will be out. Carson Mumford remains out with an ankle injury. Jet Reynolds is still recovering from a leg injury, so he will be out. Styles Robertson is out due to a nagging wrist injury. And finally, Gavin Towers injured his knee before High Point, and he will be out for the rest of the year. That is it for the weekend preview and injury report. Be sure to tune in this Saturday to Peacock for all of the racing action. You can also watch the first 450 Moto live on NBC. Now, in order to fit into that live NBC schedule, the 450s will actually race first this weekend. So don't be surprised if one of the local fast guys in the 450B practice sets the fastest qualifying lap of the day, as they will be the first ones to hit the track. It's bound to be a wild day of racing at Southwick where anything can happen. You won't want to miss it.